Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and whoa, what is this? A Fallout video? Let's go. We got to talk about the future of some Fallout video games, ladies and gents, because people are growing impatient, and Xbox, who now owns Fallout, had some interesting comments on the future of Fallout games, in particular why they thought not having a Fallout game ready for the TV show was actually really good. So I want to get into that, but also behind all of that, we have leaks for Fallout Season 2 in the terms of one set location, and that set may be very exciting if you're a New Vegas fan. And of course, we're going to wrap things up talking a little bit about Fallout 76 and what's on the horizon for that. But yeah, just a general future look at what's going on with Fallout with some recent new information to get into. So if you're new here, ladies and gentlemen, and you're into Fallout, consider subscribing. Let's begin with this article from IGN titled Xbox boss Phil Spencer explains why not having a new Fallout game ready for the Fallout TV show actually worked out for the best. Look at me, Phil. Get close. Get close. Let's zoom in. There is no such thing on this planet as having a Fallout game not existing being a good thing. Put an asterisk there because I just remembered Fallout 76 at launch. That was kind of bad. But otherwise, it is always a good thing, damn it. All right, let's actually get into it for real. As reported by Inverse, Microsoft gaming chief Phil Spencer touched on this issue while speaking at New York's annual Pali International Summit. While Spencer acknowledged the lack of a new Fallout game, he did insist everyone involved ended up benefiting from it. Quote, "We didn't have a new game lined up for the launch," Spencer said. "I actually think that gave us some creative liberty that we wouldn't have been able to have if we tried to coordinate production of two very different creative processes to land at the same time," end quote. Of course, a brand new Fallout game is coming down the pipeline, with Bethesda development chief Todd Howard confirming Fallout 5 is the long-term plan. But Phil says here, quote, "The play is much more long-term than trying to drive out some gift buying," end quote, Spencer said. For other Fallout games in the future, you know, obviously I can't talk about those right now, but I would say sort of rushing through them, or we need to get that stuff out that is different than the work we're doing in 76. We don't feel like we need to rush any of that, he said. The Fallout TV show fills a certain niche in the terms of the franchise and storytelling. So there's a lot here. Opening statement number one is supporting what Todd Howard's been saying and supporting the rumors that there are multiple Fallout games in production. I can't talk about those, so if I'm to overanalyze that sentence, those multiple Fallout games. What can they be? We've talked about this endlessly, so I'll keep it brief. It's the Fallout remasters, and what's interesting, though, that is new that I want to talk about is actually how they're thinking about justifying a new Fallout game not being ready for the TV show. I think there's two lines of thought here. One, they'll never say, which is, we didn't know the Fallout TV show was going to go over this well. And I think you, myself, and most people who are looking on the outside were feeling optimistic at best. I don't want to speak for everybody, but for me, as a massive Fallout fan, I did not expect one of my favorite ever Fallout stories to be in a TV show. Ever, right? Like, Fallout is a hardcore role-playing game series, and it's about me being at the center of that and making some choices and watching them play out at its base value, right? And to see that a TV show removed a lot of those elements and still felt extremely Fallout and told a great story, I think there's a chance that Bethesda, Kilter Films, and so on, Amazon, may not have known just how much gold they were sitting on here when they released it and people ate it up and loved it. So I think that's number one. I think that's the quiet part they'll never say out loud is like, we didn't know, because obviously there's the other situation that we haven't considered yet, which is this show goes up in flames, it's awful, and people are mad that more Fallout is being made by Bethesda, and the game in turn flops, right? There is such a thing as like going all in on the wrong things, and so I can understand, even if I don't like it because I want a new Fallout game, making a measured business decision on that front. However, what doesn't really make sense to me here is how they're kind of wording it like, oh, we have two very different creative processes landing at the same time, and we're trying to coordinate production for that. This is where, I'm just saying, Phil, if anyone's listening at Team Xbox, Team Bethesda, this is where spin-offs and other teams are great. You could let Bethesda Game Studios help oversee the Fallout TV show. Clearly, it was for the better, because you can see the fan services packed in there alongside an excellent story and phenomenal acting, and the list goes on. However, at the end of the day, you could have had another team coordinating production of a game while this was going on. It didn't have to be a mainline game, as many Fallout fans have requested, which I also think could be in the category of those Fallout games, is probably a spin-off from another developer. I just feel like it's too soon for Fallout 5. We know Elder Scrolls 6 is up next from Bethesda Game Studios. No way Xbox or Bethesda Game Studios wants to go away for that. And then that makes remasters the easy target. I imagine there's multiple remasters in development. Todd already confirmed in my interview with me, it's not going to be Fallout 1 or Fallout 2, so you narrow it down further, and you're kind of left with only a short few amount of options. So we'll see what happens there, but I thought that Phil's comments nonetheless were interesting, that they actually think it was for the better. And when you do look at Fallout 76, as we'll talk about later in this video, there was a benefit there. But again, I don't think anyone could have galaxy brained this out and been like, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to release this show. It's going to be the #1 TV show in the United States. It's going to be an Emmy Award-winning show. And then people are going to pour into Fallout 76 because Fallout 4's next-gen update is going to be so broken that people aren't going to want to play it. And so they're going to jump over into 76. And that game's going to have a resurgence because it's kind of been decent for a decent amount of time now. And so, yeah, that was the big plan, right? Like, it just, you know, sometimes great things just happen, right? Because, I mean, rightfully, they're getting rewarded for making something really good there. So that's my assessment of the situation there. However, I want to talk about Fallout Season 2 while we're sitting here talking Fallout, right? Like, you know me. Once the door is cracked open, I'm kicking that shit down. So Inverse is talking about what's going on with Fallout Season 2, and they actually revealed one key detail about the storytelling method for it that I'm very excited about. They say, in a show, you can flash back, you can explore what the world was beforehand, Nolan says. It's one of the things I love most about Season 1, and we'll be doing more of that in Season 2. Obviously, this is in reference to the Ghoul, who is, I think, potentially the best character in the Fallout TV show. I mean, just what an amazing performance by Walton Goggins, but also like just a amazing original character for this TV show that manages to go back to the pre-war and be this amazing conduit for that storytelling, but also has such a huge impact on the current storyline. By saying there's more flashbacks, this likely indicates that we're going to get more answers on Vault Tech. This means we're going to get more answers on the Ghoul. I mean, the plot's going to explode from here, man. There was still some really great questions left hanging in Season 1 that, upon answering them in Season 2, can really put a bow on some things. Did Vault Tech start the war, right? Like, that's one of the big questions that we were left with. You know, what's going on with a certain overseer, right? Like, what's happening with it? What was the backstory there? Even further back, you know, there's so much that we can pull at here. So I'm very, very excited that they are leaning into more flashbacks because, as always, one of my biggest pieces of feedback for the Fallout franchise and its future is use the pre-war more. I've heard people pitch ideas of like pre-war games, and I'm like, no, I think the Memory Den was a missed opportunity in Fallout 4 to go in there and re-experience parts of your life through that Memory Den in the pre-war era. Like, it blows my mind that there was never even DLC for that game. But nonetheless, I think that more pre-war exploration, I mean, that was like the best part of the show in a lot of ways, was just learning more about Vault Tech, about the Ghoul, and in turn, the original Vault Boy. Like just such a cool bit of storytelling there. So very excited about that. What I'm also excited about is Novak. Novak looks to be in Fallout Season 2. This was posted by Fallout Films. They say possible, very likely Fallout Season 2 filming location. Quote, I was driving by Baker on my way to Vegas and saw this in an abandoned motel in the town. I'm very, very certain this is some Fallout Season 2 filming, especially with the very clearly Novak sign from the DMs. And you'll see here in some of these images, like that sign right there off the bat, very clearly Novak inspired. I think you can make out some of the text there, but you'll even see like they are setting up completely everything here. And then I think the dead giveaway are the rusted out vehicles here that no doubt this is for Fallout in some way, shape, or form. We'll see what exactly this location ends up being, but I think it's very clear this is Fallout. And then you can see another shot here of them like getting the cameras right and everything like that. So they are building the set for Fallout Season 2. It looks like Novak will be involved, and man, get me there, Bethesda, man. I want to see Novak in person. I am so envious of all the actors and actresses who get to experience that in person and just like live and breathe on that set. Like the fact that it was like so practical too, like the power armor was real, like that stuff goes such a long way. I would love to see that stuff in person, but man, I am so excited just to see what other locations from New Vegas they're going to explore. And obviously my head goes to like, I thought the soundtrack selection in the show as a fan was so good. And then the idea of like, oh my God, they have the whole New Vegas radio to pick from. Like the choices are going to be immaculate. I cannot wait for Fallout Season 2. And I think because they're already starting filming and production so quickly after Season 1 that I imagine we get a trailer maybe even next year, like for the Fallout Day stream. That feels like a good time to drop it with like an announcement that the new season will be out in like 2026, like early 2026 in April again, perhaps. I don't know, man, but like I am very pumped. What I'm also kind of pumped about though is the ghoul in Fallout 76 specifically. So we finally got a little bit of a roadmap for what's coming up for Fallout 76, and you'll see here that they've laid out some things with the Gleaming Depths. This is something they talked about in the recent Fallout Day stream. That'll be coming out in December as announced. In January, it's looking a little light. In February, Fastnacht is back. But in March, Player Ghoul Update does arrive, and this is a pretty big deal, right? Because this is a new style of playable character. It interacts with the open world a little bit differently. It seems like they're going to have their own perk cards, as previously confirmed by Bethesda Game Studios. So there is a lot here worth monitoring. It isn't on my excitement scale the same level as like a Skyline Valley. You know, Skyline Valley is exactly what I was looking for as a Fallout fan, like in a new original area, a great quest line, new enemy types, the art and the visual direction of that expansion, if you will, was really good. Like they just, I think, checked all the boxes I was looking for in 76. But new ways to play is really cool because it's new ways to role play, new ways to interact with the community, and the community in 76 is really good. So you can look out for that in March. But as you can see right now, they haven't marked their next big exploration focused sort of expansion, and we'll see what that ends up being, right? I always have predicted that their next big sort of expedition style expansion will focus on Fallout 3 that leaked years ago, where we saw DuPont Circle. And of course, with the rumor of a Fallout 3 remaster, I feel like the timing's just kind of there where these two will eventually sync up. Maybe it's much further down the road. We'll see. But nonetheless, we do have not really much other information on Fallout 76's 2025. And I always found their level of caginess to be a little strange with how much of a high they're riding. I mean, I know it's not saying much to some people, but 76 gets way more players on average than Starfield, and that's crazy. If you told me that when Starfield was coming out, I would not think that was the case. But nonetheless, a lot happened in Fallout. We're getting there. We're getting there. Patience is going to pay off, right? Season 2 is cooking. 76 is cooking. It seems like, again, we have reconfirmed that there are multiple Fallout games in development, although they think it was for the better that it wasn't ready for the TV show. But now I feel like the TV show is going to kickstart this real big push for Fallout. So time will tell, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands. Let me know what you're thinking about all of this down below. Are you feeling pumped for the future of Fallout? Fire away. Other than that, I will catch all of you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.